Let's now take a look at the timeline of events.
Yes. So if you look at the timeline of events, on the 15th of July 2019, the former president appeared before the Judicial Commission of Inquiry into state capture, and this was the time that he had to have an opportunity to answer to these allegations. And when he was there, it was very interesting to note that he made various complaints, saying that a lot of the things that have happened that have been put squarely on his doorstep, he cannot necessarily answer to, because he would not have had a hand in every decision that government would have had and would have made at the time. And then another issue that he did raise was the issue that he felt like he was being hard done by, and this was just nothing more than a political witch hunt that he was being put under at the commission. And then of course another one was the fact that corruption and fraud in the public sector, including organs of state, would not necessarily be something that he would have driven himself personally, saying that others should also answer, because as the former head of state, his was just a managerial oversight activity of the various departments, and that he would not have given any instructions, undue instructions, to, let's say, for instance, CEOs of the SOEs. So this is just some of the things.
And this is what we've been speaking about throughout the course of this morning. The Jacob Zuma Foundation releasing a statement accusing Deputy Chief Justice Raymond Zondo of having a personal vendetta against Zuma. The former president failed to appear before the Commission of Inquiry. Now, this personal vendetta, as the references were read as to why a summons should be issued, you mentioned earlier that what came out of this statement wasn't strongly articulated by the Deputy Chief Justice Raymond Zondo. He merely spoke about the factual timeline on what happened and what is now leading him to issue the summons. And
this is what should have been expected of the Deputy Chief Justice Raymond Zondo, because the terms of reference of the Commission of Inquiry are just fixed on what evidence has been led and what is before the Commission of Inquiry. I don't think he would have been baited into going to comment about any personal issues. I mean, if you look at that statement that the Jacob Zuma Foundation released, it talked about the bias that the Deputy Chief Justice Raymond Zondo has against the former president Jacob Zuma, being linked to a personal and historical relationship.
Yes.
Now, not going further to explain what this personal and historic relationship would be, safe to say that in due time all will be revealed, and this seems to be a calling card of the former president Jacob Zuma whenever he has questions to answer to in any legal process, especially now before the Commission of Inquiry. So those statements and those phrases and alluding to personal previous relationships and saying that Deputy Chief Justice Raymond Zondo should recuse himself on those grounds alone is just aimed at discrediting the whole Judicial Commission of Inquiry into state capture, because that would suggest that if the person at the helm has a conflict of interest in any regard, the right thing to do in terms of the judicial process or the legal process would have been for him to recuse himself. But then when you have, after all this time and all the evidence, the head of the Judicial Commission of Inquiry into state capture recusing himself, what questions then does it raise about the process, the entire process? Then if one person can raise those questions and it has that desired effect, then everyone else can then hide behind the same thing. And then where does that leave the whole work of the Commission of Inquiry? So this is why I say that I don't think Deputy Chief Justice Raymond Zondo would have paid any particular attention. He did allude to it. However, he did not go into any great detail except to speak about the merits as to why this particular process is so important to go ahead for the subpoena to be issued, the summons to be issued, so that the former president and head of state can come and put his side across, so the Commission's work can be seen to be done in completion in its entirety.
Yeah.